Imagine, uh, living in a world and the sky itself seems to like, hey, something big is about to happen.
Yeah,
That's the world Nat Turner was living in, right?
right.
Where a solar eclipse wasn't just some cool event in the sky. It was like a message from God.
Yeah,
And for Turner, that message was really clear.
absolutely.
The time had come to rise up against slavery.
It's time.
And, today we're going deep into his rebellion.
Yeah,
Nat Turner's 1831 rebellion, which is a huge turning point
absolutely.
in American history.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah.
still talking about it
And we're still unpacking it.
to this day.
Yeah. And what makes this deep dive so interesting is that we have all of these sources.
Oh, yeah.
We have firsthand accounts from people who lived through it. We have trial transcripts with Turner's own words in it,
Wow.
and analyses from historians that give us different perspectives on who this guy was.
So let's kind of go back in time.
Okay.
Set the stage a little bit.
Yeah.
It's 1831. Virginia's a land divided by slavery.
Of course.
And you have Nat Turner, a skilled carpenter. He's in his early 30s.
Okay.
He's enslaved on the Travis Plantation in Southampton County.
Right.
But Turner wasn't just a carpenter. He was also a man of deep faith.
Yeah.
He was a preacher,
Uh-huh.
and he believed that he received visions from God.
And this faith wasn't just something personal for him.
Right.
Something that gave him solace.
Right.
He shared it with the entire enslaved community.
Yeah.
He saw himself as a spiritual leader, and the way he explained the Bible
Hey.
and all of his own experiences,
Yeah.
they resonated with a lot of people who wanted nothing more than to be free.
So then in February 1831,
Yeah.
solar eclipse
Yeah.
darkens the skies of Virginia.
Yep.
We look back now and we think, oh, that's a natural phenomenon.
Uh-huh.
But for Turner,
Yeah.
this was a sign,
Yeah.
a message from God.
This is huge.
Yeah.
You have to understand just how important religion was for people back then, especially for enslaved people.
Enslaved people.
It was everything.
Right.
The idea that God was sending them signs.
Right.
It wasn't just a belief, it was reality.
Yeah.
So this eclipse for Turner was like a call to action.
Yeah.
He felt like God chose him
Right.
to lead his people out of slavery,
Wow.
but he knew he couldn't do it alone.
Of course.
So he starts talking to a small group
Okay.
of other enslaved people,
Yeah.
people he trusted,
Right.
men who knew the horrors of slavery and also believed in his vision.
Yeah.
This wasn't just about running away.
Okay.
This was bigger.
Okay.
Turner wanted to destroy slavery, to dismantle the whole system
Wow.
that was denying him and so many others
Wow.
their basic human rights.
So together,
Yeah.
this small group,
Yeah.
driven by their faith
Yeah.
and this need for freedom,
Right.
they started planning their uprising.
Uh-huh.
Turner first thought about July 4th,
Oh, wow.
which makes sense.
Symbolic.
Very symbolic
Yeah.
for a nation all about liberty. But something told him to wait.
Interesting.
He needed another sign,
Another sign.
another confirmation
Wow.
that he was on the right path.
What's fascinating is how Turner used his faith,
Right.
but also was smart about it.
Yeah.
He got the power of symbolism,
Yeah.
but he also understood nature
Right.
and saw it as part of God's plan.
So that next sign came pretty quickly.
Okay.
August 13th.
Yeah.
The skies went dark again.
Wow.
And this time it was because of a volcano
Really?
thousands of miles away.
Wow.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
that?
Crazy.
A volcano on the other side of the continent,
Yeah.
casting a shadow over Virginia
Yeah.
and changing history.
It just shows you how connected everything is,
Yeah.
even if we don't always see it.
Right.
But for Turner, that dark sky was the sign he needed.
Yeah.
It was time.
It was time.
Okay.
So on August 21st, 1831,
Okay.
Nat Turner and his followers,
Yeah.
armed with whatever they could find,
Wow.
axes, hatchets, farming tools, they set out under the cover of darkness.
Okay.
Their first target,
Yeah.
the Travis Plantation,
Wow.
the same place where Turner had been enslaved and
Yeah.
had seen all the horrors of slavery firsthand.
And the sources here are so powerful. The
Yeah.
descriptions from the survivors
Right.
of that first attack
Yeah.
talk about how quick and brutal it was.
Wow.
This fight for freedom had incredibly high stakes.
That first attack
Yeah.
on the Travis farm
Yeah.
was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
No one was spared.
Wow.
Joseph Travis, his wife,
Wow.
their son, and an apprentice.
Whoa.
They were all killed.
And that was just the beginning.
Wow.
Turner and his men were driven by their faith,
Yeah.
but also by years of anger They moved from farm to farm,
Yeah.
freeing people
Yeah.
and leaving a trail of terror behind them. We got to remember,
Yeah.
this wasn't just about escape. This was about revenge.
Okay.
These attacks were a response to years of dehumanization, of being treated as property, not people.
And the rebellion grew fast.
Yeah.
By the end of that first day,
Yeah.
Turner had something like 30 men.
Wow.
And more people were being killed.
It was chaos.
Yeah.
And everyone was caught in the middle.
Wow.
White, black men, women, children.
Wow.
All caught in the crossfire.
And we have this incredible story.
Yeah.
From two enslaved women.
Okay.
Charlotte and Esther.
Okay.
They were working on the Francis farm.
Yeah.
When Turner's men got there.
Wow.
Talk about being stuck between this horrible reality of being enslaved and this sudden chance for freedom.
Yeah.
Their story shows us how complicated things were during the rebellion.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just black and white.
Right.
People had to make tough choices in a split second.
Absolutely.
And it was hard to tell who was a victim and who was part of the rebellion.
The sources paint this really nuanced picture. Yeah.
It wasn't just black versus white.
Right.
It was about individual experiences, fears, motivations.
Yeah. And just as the rebellion seemed to be gaining momentum, Nat made a decision.
Okay.
That changed everything. Instead of going straight to Jerusalem, the county seat, he stopped to get more men.
Interesting.
And that pause, that delay, was a huge turning point.
Oh, wow.
It gave the white community time to react, time to get ready for a counterattack.
Wow. News of the rebellion spread so fast through the white community. It was like wildfire.
Yeah.
Fueled by fear and anger.
Right.
Church bells were ringing.
Oh, wow.
Calling men to arms.
Yeah.
Women and children were being hidden.
Wow.
As these militias formed, determined to put down this uprising
Yeah.
and restore order
Right.
to their society.
Can you imagine the terror that people felt? Absolutely.
As news of this rebellion spread, this wasn't just a few runaway slaves.
No.
This was a full-blown revolt.
It was
a challenge to everything they believed in.
It challenged the very foundation
Wow.
of their society.
Right.
A society built on slavery.
And that's why the reaction was so harsh.
Absolutely.
So brutal.
Their whole way of life, the Southern economy, depended on slavery.
Right.
Turner's rebellion wasn't just a threat to some slave owners.
No.
It was a threat to the entire South.
Wow.
So as Turner and his men were coming back from that last recruiting effort, they ran into a group of 18 white men on horseback, all armed.
Wow.
This was the first real fight of the rebellion. The element of surprise was gone, and the fight for freedom became open warfare.
Wow.
And it was a fight they couldn't win.
Right.
They had some success at first with the surprise attacks, but now they were facing organized resistance.
Right.
Men with better weapons who were determined to protect their way of life.
When Turner and his men got to a bridge leading to Jerusalem, they were stopped
Oh, wow.
by a larger militia.
Their plan
Right.
to capture Jerusalem and all its supplies was over.
Wow.
They had to retreat. Their dream of a free Jerusalem was
Sure.
gone.
That defeat was a turning point. The tide was turning. Turner's momentum was fading.
But Turner didn't give up.
Okay.
He and his followers regrouped.
Yeah.
And they attacked another plantation the next morning.
Which one?
The Belmont plantation.
Okay.
But this time, the owner was ready.
Oh, wow.
He and his family barricaded themselves inside.
Wow.
Armed, ready to fight. This was a different kind of resistance.
Yeah.
Not just scared farmers,
Right.
but men who felt like their whole world was being threatened and they were ready to die to protect it.
And soon the militia arrived,
Oh,
reinforcing the defenses.
yeah, and scattering Turner's men.
Wow.
The rebellion was being crushed under the weight of all that firepower
Right.
and the determination of those who wanted to stop it.
But the violence
Yeah.
didn't end there.
Right?
After the rebellion was put down,
Yeah.
white Virginians went on a rampage. Wow.
It was shocking how brutal it was
Yeah.
and how many people they targeted.
Wow.
Innocent black people
Right.
who had nothing to do with the rebellion
Yeah.
were beaten, tortured, and murdered.
Wow.
They think over 100 black people
Wow.
were killed
Wow.
in the weeks after the rebellion.
It wasn't just about punishing the rebels.
Right.
It was about sending a message.
A message of fear a message of white dominance to crush any future resistance from the enslaved population.
And Turner, he managed to escape.
He did.
For 6 weeks,
wow.
hiding in the woods.
Yeah.
He knew the land.
Right.
And he had help
yeah.
from people who supported him.
Yeah.
But eventually caught him.
Yeah. He was hiding under a pile of fence rails.
Wow.
Not far from the Travis farm.
Wow.
Where it all began.
It's like something out of a story.
It is.
This man who led this rebellion, who challenged everything, captured, and brought back to where it all started.
On November 5th, 1831, Nat Turner went on trial. In Jerusalem.
Go.
He didn't deny what he did.
No.
He said God had chosen him
to
lead his people to freedom. That he was on a mission from God.
It's chilling to read the trial transcripts to see how they talked about him. They thought he was a fanatic. A madman. A danger to their way of life. They couldn't understand
why he did what he did. The desperation, the horrors of slavery that led him to this.
Turner was found guilty.
Of course.
And sentenced to death. And here's something that I always find so disturbing. During the trial, they decided how much he was worth.
Really?
For compensation purposes.
Wow.
His life was valued at $375.
Wow.
It's just a reminder.
It is.
Of how dehumanizing slavery was. This man, this leader.
A rebel.
A prophet to some. Reduced to a dollar amount.
Wow.
Just another piece of property. 6 days after the trial. Nat Turner was hanged.
Wow.
But his rebellion had a huge impact.
It did
on the South.
Yeah.
And on the debate over slavery.
Absolutely. White slaveholders were terrified. They passed all sorts of laws to tighten control, restrict the rights of black people, and prevent future uprisings. Virginia passed a bunch of laws to limit black freedom. Black religious gatherings were banned unless a white person was there. They wanted to control black religious expression and stop the spread of dangerous ideas. And the biggest thing, they made it illegal to teach enslaved people to read and write. They knew knowledge was power, and they were scared of an educated black population. Turner's literacy was seen as a threat. They didn't want another Nat Turner to emerge.
Nat Turner's rebellion didn't end slavery. But it had a lasting impact.
Absolutely.
It showed how fragile the slave system was.
Wow.
And how much enslaved people yearned for freedom. It forced white Southerners to face the consequences of their actions. The fear of another rebellion, another Nat Turner, would haunt them.
For years to come, right up to the Civil War.
It's amazing to think about how one man, a carpenter who was enslaved, changed everything.
He did.
He really shook things up.
Absolutely.
His name became this symbol of hope for some and fear for others.
And that's what makes his legacy so fascinating. He's hard to define. Was he a hero or a villain? I think it's more complicated than that.
History is like that, isn't it?
It is.
It makes us think about things that aren't always easy. And we see that good and bad aren't always so clear-cut.
Turner's story makes us think about why people use violence. When is peaceful resistance enough? And what slavery really did to this country.
It's a story that makes you think.
It does.
It's not about easy answers.
No.
It's about understanding, feeling.
Right.
And seeing how complex things really were.
Yeah.
Even today.
I know.
Almost 200 years later.
Yeah.
Nat Turner's name.
Yeah.
Still means something.
It does.
He's become a legend.
Right.
A symbol of resistance.
Absolutely.
His story is part of the fight for racial justice.
And that's because his story speaks to something deep inside all of us. The need to be free.
Right.
The courage to fight for what's right.
Yeah.
Even when it seems impossible.
Turner's rebellion didn't end slavery.
No.
But it lit a fire that inspired others to keep fighting.
To fight for a better world.
So when we think about Nat Turner, what we learn.
What can we take away from his story?
How can we use it?
Especially as we're still dealing with the legacy of slavery and the fight for equality.
I think the biggest lesson is in the questions we ask.
The questions.
Not the answers.
What does Turner's story teach us
Yeah.
about what oppression does to people?
Right.
What about when peaceful protest isn't enough?
Right.
And how do we honor those who fought for freedom by remembering their sacrifices and continuing their work?
Those are important questions we all need to think about.
We do.
And this deep dive is just the beginning.
Just scratching the surface of this really complex story.
We talked about what happened.
Right.
The background, the aftermath.
Yeah.
But the impact of Nat Turner's rebellion is still being felt today.
It is.
It shapes how we see history.
Absolutely.
And how we talk about race, justice, and equality.
It's all connected.
If you want to learn more, read Nat Turner's Confessions.
Right.
Look at the historical accounts.
Yeah.
See what people are saying about him.
Right.
And most importantly, keep asking questions.
Keep learning.
History isn't just a bunch of facts.
No.
It's alive.
It is.
It's changing.
Right.
And it shapes who we are. Absolutely who we want to be.